Thinking back on my daughter's first day of school, it's a bit of a blur. It was a beautiful, sunny September day, cool in the morning, but the residue of summer still hung in the air. She wore her blue sunflower backpack. It seemed almost bigger than her 4-year-old frame. We stood in line outside the gate, next to other nervous parents, wearing big smiles, saying soothing words of support. Finally, it was her turn. We let go. She went ahead on her own, took a few steps forward, turned around and came back to give one more hug before heading off to school for the first time. It's an emotional roller coaster that first day. Anticipation, joy, a little stress, possibly a few tears. And that's just the parents. So today, let's talk about kindergarten and getting ready for day one. I'm your host, Darcy Knoll. This is In Conversation with OCDSB. So, when we decided to make a podcast, it seemed almost fitting that we start at the first day of school. Or I guess preparing for the big day. Now, I know there are parents I've spoken to who aren't sure if their child is ready for kindergarten, especially the parents of kids who don't turn 4 until the end of December. If this is your first child starting school, you're entering a world that is both familiar and new. We all have our own memories and experiences at school that we bring with us, whether that's from school in Canada or abroad. I grew up in a rural community, and sorting out how schools worked in a city like Ottawa was a bit of a labyrinth at first. I had many questions. You probably do too. And that's okay. So I have with me here today Brent Smith. And Brent's a principal with the OCDSB who works with our program and learning department. Now, Brent's been a teacher, a principal, and today he works closely with our OCDSB kindergarten teams across the school district. So this includes things like helping to organize information sessions for parents and helping get our teams ready for kindergarten. Hello, Brent. Welcome.
Yeah, good morning, Darcy. Great to be here.
Thank you. So to start off with, tell me about when your kids went to school for the first time. What was that experience for you?
Yeah, I've got 2 kiddos who've been through the system, and it's been a number of years. It's been 15 years since my first child entered kindergarten, but it seems like yesterday. I remember everything about it. I remember the spring before, going to the information nights at the school. I remember, even though I was an educator at that time, I remember having those same big feelings, that I'd seen in other parents, and it was a real reflective moment for me. My daughter was very, very tiny. She was small, and I remember just being, even though I was in the system, being very, very concerned. And I will never forget the welcome that we got in that spring from the principal at that school, the teacher at that school, just made us feel so good about the process. And I do remember, when you first endeavor to let your child go, right? And they're going to kindergarten for that first day, and I'll never forget. You have lots of preconceived notions about what they're going to go through. And sometimes I remember thinking, gosh, my daughter, I think she's tougher than me about this whole piece. So she came home just absolutely glowing. But it can be those big feelings, that topsy-turvy time. It certainly is definitely an exciting time. So I look back, even though it was 15 years ago, I look back with a lot of joy at that first day in kindergarten for my daughter.
Now, with information sessions for parents, there are obviously lots and lots of questions. Yeah. What is most common? What stands out that everybody's asking?
Yeah, I think every parent wants to make sure that their child is ready for kindergarten, and I would say that that's probably, having done these sessions as a principal and prepared them from at the district level, I still think parents want to make sure their children are ready. And I always say to folks, it's not your child's job to be ready for kindergarten. It's our job to be ready for your child. So it's really great to have the opportunity to talk to those parents about their hopes and their dreams for their children, to let them know that every parent is feeling the same way right now. We try to normalize the experience. If you're nervous about your child going to kindergarten, then 90% of the parents are feeling the same way. So we talk about that piece just to try to let folks know that they don't have to worry about that piece. In fact, they've probably done enough already. Their kids are coming to us with gifts, and it's our job to really embrace those gifts. Then we talk about specifics too. What exactly are those concerns? And to tell a parent, to talk to a parent and let them know, this is how we can accommodate that. This is how we can accommodate that. This is how we can work with your child's gifts to make their experience in school and their first kick at the educational can a really great one for them. So I would say that school readiness piece is by far the most important question on parents' minds.
So I'm sure a lot of parents want to know, like, academically, what do kids need to know before they go to school? Do they need to know how to count? Do they need to know how to read or the alphabet? Like, what do you say to those questions?
Yeah, it's a great one too, and I think what I say to those parents and what we say to our communities is every child comes to school with gifts. The only prerequisite we have is age. That's the only prerequisite. Our job is to honor those gifts that the children bring. So I often say teaching is an art and a science. The art is embracing the gifts that the children bring, whether they're artists, they're athletes. Some do know their letters, some do know their counting, but our job is to engage kids in their strengths and use those strengths. If they don't know how to count, we're going to teach them how to count. If they don't know how to their alphabet in kindergarten, that's one of the things they're going to learn. So, it's a beautiful thing if a child comes knowing a little bit about themselves and they know what they're interested in a little bit and they've been allowed to explore that. That's a beautiful thing, and we can work with it. But I just tell parents, again, your child is a gift, and parents are caregivers are the first educators, and we really want to honor that piece as well. So, talking to parents about what does your child love to do? We've got kids who come in and they're soccer players and they're musicians and they're artists, and we really need to first and foremost embrace who the child is. So whether or not they know their alphabet or counting it's inconsequential, because we're going to teach them how to read. We're going to give them the foundations in kindergarten. We're going to teach them how to count. We're going to teach them all those pieces. We're going to take them where they are. We're going to meet the children where they are in every single case.
So it's really just building up kind of that love of learning. That's
absolutely, and it is amazing how attitudes about learning are formed at home. Conversations with kids about your kids are going to have those big feelings around any new change. Change is exciting for kids, and different kids react in different ways, and parents can do a beautiful job of talking to their children about their feelings. How are you feeling about this? And normalizing this a little bit. Kids at that age go through all sorts of very new experiences. Kindergarten just happens to be one of those big new experiences. So we really want parents also to let their kids know that they are ready and they are going to be ready.
Now, just so we're clear, how old do you have to be to enter kindergarten?
Yeah, so our year one kindergarten students are 4, and year 2, of course, are 5 years old. And the entry point, there's more information on that piece on the website. I don't know, I can get into specifics here, but 4 and 5.
So you have to be 4 by the end of the calendar year.
That's right. Yeah, that's right.
Okay, so another piece is that the OCDSB offers a bilingual French-English kindergarten program. Now, some parents or some families might be coming to the school board not able to speak French. They might also be learning English for the first time.
Absolutely.
So what do you say to parents that might have questions about, say, learning French, or whether their child's going to be able to succeed in this kind of program?
Yeah, one of the exciting things you get to do as a principal is you get to bust some myths around some of that sometimes. And I would say about our French programs, whether it's our core French program or any of our French immersion programs, those programs are built upon the idea that parents aren't French speakers. It's not their first language at home. And so that's what the program is built around. We, as educators, will provide opportunities for parents to to let them know how they can support French at home. We have a document that we send out monthly to schools called Building the Bridge, and it's got ideas in it for how parents can engage in second language acquisition at home. But there's absolutely no expectation that a parent is going to be a French language speaker at home for the children to be in that program and succeed. The other piece that's really important around students who are actually learning English is we often we encourage those families to continue to develop in their first language. If your first language is Arabic at home, it's really important that your children have the opportunity to continue to speak in that first language and develop that language, because one of the things we know about language acquisition is actually children who are learning more than one language, their brains are just wired to pick up more languages. And so one of the myths is, if you're going to be learning English, it's really important that that's what you speak. And it's a bit of a myth. So we really want those students who are learning some students are coming to us and they're learning a second, a third, and a fourth language. And it's really important those students have the opportunity to continue to practice and develop in those languages as well, because it'll actually help their acquisition of English. It will help their acquisition of French. So those are two of the really big ones. That idea that the program is built on the idea that parents are not French speakers. And the other piece, again, is that we don't want them to stop learning a first language. We want them to continue to develop in it. So I think those are two of the biggest myths that we sometimes have and can share with parents.
So what would you say is in that lead up to kindergarten and into the first year, what's the best thing a parent can do to help their child, I guess, prepare for school, but also work through the year?
Yeah, absolutely. Families know their children best. Caregivers know their children best. And we really, in the OCDSB, we value this, and we strive to really create a partnership that honors caregivers as the first educators. So I would say a couple different things. Sometimes parents think they're bugging the school sometimes, or they're bothering the school when they, call to provide information in that spring before kindergarten. This is the beginning of a partnership, and we really encourage that. In fact, it's essential that we have a free flow of information back and forth. So I would say to caregivers, in terms of preparing for school, get to know your school community early. If you can come to the information nights, do so. If you can contact the school and talk to the principal, talk to a teacher at the school about the needs of your kiddos, that's really a great thing. The other piece is visiting the school. On the weekends, visiting the school, getting familiar with where and what the school looks like. Going onto the website, the school websites, to find more information about some of the things that make our schools unique. And the other piece is, again, at home, celebrating the gifts that your child brings, right? So if your child loves to draw, if your child loves to draw, then talk to them about that and encourage it. Put those drawings up on the fridge. If your child loves to kick a soccer ball around, encourage them to do that. All those skills that children develop, they increase their confidence, and when they get to school, we're going to be using those skills. Those are the things we want to know about your children. There's no need for special materials or tutoring or anything like that. Regular walks outside, noticing and naming the world around them is really an important piece. Sharing your own experiences. Sometimes kids look at their caregivers and they don't understand or realize that they were in school. They were in the exact same situation. And while this can be really novel to talk to your student about your first day of school, right? Like, your kids love to hear about that stuff. It's also really, really great to help them prepare. The other piece I would say is continue to give your children responsibility at home as well. So give them things to do around the home that make them a contributing member of the home, right? Chores and things like that. Although it might seem a little bit on the mundane end of things, kids love that. There's nothing children in kindergarten love more than being the helpers in the classroom. And if they're used to that role at home, it will help them be contributing members of their class and school environment as well. So really, keep being caregivers to your kids. Be interested. Talk to them and share your stories with them. That will help ease their concerns a little bit. But it's also really, it's great for the parents as well. really great for the parents as well. So I think those are the most important things, but I can't overemphasize the partnership piece. Be as involved as you possibly can in school. And that doesn't mean, that you got to volunteer every day in a school. And if you can, it's a beautiful thing, but it means getting to know your teachers, reaching out to your educators, your early childhood educators. The schools value this, and we need this because, again, caregivers are the first educators, and this partnership is such a powerful one. So we want the environment to be a welcoming and safe one where parents' voices are honored. So reach out and do that. It's no bother to the school. In fact, we love it, and it's incredibly helpful.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much, Brent. That was very helpful, and I think, if we're to summarize it, things are going to be okay.
Yeah, we get so excited this time of year as a district to welcome new families in these kindergarten information nights. We're the first volley, but there's going to be lots of opportunities for you to get to know your school. So it's an exciting time for us. We just can't wait to welcome your children into the OCDSB. Thanks for the time, Darcy.
Thank you, Brent. That was Brent Smith, and he's an assistant principal with the OCDSB Program and Learning Department. It's normal to feel a tad, super nervous when your kid takes a big step, like starting school for the first time. It may not seem like it right now, but come September, they'll be ready. Kindergarten teachers, early childhood educators, they are experienced working with young children at various stages of development. They know a child born in January may be very different from a child born in December of the same calendar year. We can't promise your child won't lose their mittens, have a bathroom accident, or come home in a snowsuit covered in mud. But through play, they will learn and discover new things, express themselves in new ways, have fun, and make new friends. Every year, the OCDSB offers information sessions for parents and caregivers about kindergarten, and you're welcome to contact your local school if you have questions. We've included links to resources on our podcast webpage, ocdsb.ca/inconversation. That's it for our show today. I'd like to thank Brent Smith and our technical producer, Mike Gilbo. I'm your host, Darcy Noel. Until next time, take care.